We are back with episode 23, and as you can tell, I'm losing my voice, but I'm full of excitement as we've had many legends, icons on this podcast. But today, we have the one and only Garber Snake, Jordan Garber, on the program today.
It's great to be here on the CWE Podcast, everyone watching from around the world. My name is Jordan Garber, and I'm here on the CWE Podcast. Great to be here.
This might be a big reveal for people, because if they're not on your social media, they only know the voice of Jordan Garber. They don't know the face behind the snake, and here it is.
The face behind the snake.
Well, the face behind the snake, of course, I don't know what you're referring to with the face behind the snake.
Well, the Garber Snake.
The snake.
It's all about the Garber Snake. And I can't even remember, actually, when that whole thing came about, but...
I believe it was the Shane Madison who christened you, christened you, sorry, the Garber Snake.
Actually, yeah. Now it's kind of going back to my mind. It was back at the Club St. B. I had a little bit too much to drink after a...
You were on fire that night.
I was on fire.
You're shooting tequila, vodka.
Yeah.
You're on another level, Jordan Garber.
So, while I was on that level, I think I remember actually cutting a promo on Moses Luke while I was extremely intoxicated. And then from that point forward, Shane Madison called me the Garber Snake, and I am sitting here now.
Yeah, you're a legend in the making. You are a legend. You're already a legend. You're just making more of a legend of yourself. We're going to get to that legend that is Jordan Garber later in the program, but first we're going to talk WrestleMania season. It's that hot time of year right now. People are excited about professional wrestling. There's announcements by the day. There's a whole lot going on, and I had some notes that were sent to me by Travis, but Chris, our man behind the camera, gave me some big news that I was unaware of right before we hit record, and that's Stan Hansen is finally getting the Hall of Fame nod this year. He's being inducted into this year's class, which I think is huge. He had literally no WWF run. He was in the WWF, but in terms of mainstream wrestling, his career was pretty much winding down by the time the big boom period started. Yep. So it's kind of a huge deal, and somebody getting their due that's not a part of the WWF machine. Any thoughts? Or
I think it's great. Just someone who very much enjoys the history of wrestling myself. It's great to see guys from different eras. It's something you see very often, so I'm excited for it.
Stan Hansen's a guy that really revolutionized wrestling in the sense that I don't know if there's as many guys as Stan Hansen that have inspired so many wrestlers. Like when you go and travel the independents, there's a Stan Hansen in every locker room, or at least a poor attempt of a Stan Hansen in every single locker room. There's many wrestling cowboys and wrestling outlaws and things of that nature, and the lariat, which was Stan Hansen's big move, is one quite popular across the independent scene in the wrestling world in general. So it's cool to see him getting his just due. Also announced, like we talked about, the Big Boss Man, the Godfather. This year's shaping up to be pretty good.
They announced Jacqueline yesterday. Yep.
Jacqueline, so it's getting bigger and better by the day. Is that all for this year? Or are they going to announce one more?
That's it. Stan Hansen, they'll probably announce officially on Raw next week, so that'll be it, I imagine. So Sting, the Freebirds, Stan Hansen, Jacqueline, Bossman, and Godfather.
That might be the most well-rounded class they've had in
It's literally a little bit of everything, right?
Yeah.
You've got a WWF guy, you've got a WCW guy in Sting, you've got Freebirds from World Class, you've got Jacqueline, who was due to the USWA territory, WCW, etc. And we've got Godfather, who...
And like we mentioned last week, I think a big part of that is the WWE Network now. They want to try to capitalize on all generations of wrestling so they can capture fans to go and check out the library and all the different content they have, which is really cool because for a long time, the past was often forgotten about. It was always about the now. And they've really just changed their style in general, and we'll talk about ROADBLOCK in a minute. And maybe it's exclusive to the WWE Network because I don't get to watch the weekly programs as often as I'd like, but I noticed on ROADBLOCK as well, they even talked about wrestlers' history. They talked about Chris Jericho's independent history in the early 90s. They talked about Sami Zayn and his independent promotion in Montreal he broke in the early 2000s. So it's really cool that they now give credit and exposure to so many different wrestling operations outside of the WWE universe.
They even mentioned Chris Jericho working for the CNWA back in the day.
Not the Vance Nevada CNWA.
No, not quite the same thing.
But it's really cool now. I guess maybe they always have understood it, but they're very comfortable in the fact that they own wrestling now. They literally own all of wrestling, whether you want to admit it or not. So they can give credit to anybody, and it's going to be a benefit to them, but nobody's going to come up and take that away from them.
Because even if they didn't own wrestling, they own so much of the past now that as time goes on, you know, companies will, you know, be around for 10, 15, 20 years, however long their run is, and then eventually WWE will probably buy them out, and it'll just keep getting added to the history of wrestling.
Just
so even if they're not the only game in town, which most would argue that they are, they always will be. They'll always be that guy. They'll always have the network now. They'll always. You know,
I really wish I would have kept more. I always filmed my shows, but I always had so many different people working video for me that I never always got all my footage, and I wish I did. Because as you look at the, you know, all the stars that are becoming big now or have in the last couple of years, you've seen it on the Daniel Bryan DVD, the CM Punk DVD. They're going back and they're getting all these guys independent footage. So with all the guys now that are coming up through NXT and some of the guys that have broken through on the main roster, like that independent footage is going to be worth something like the territory footage was, say, 10 years ago when they started buying all that up, because all these guys that are now stars showing, their history was on the independents. So all these companies are going to have footage of these guys when they were first breaking into the business and killing themselves for $20. And
a good example, when they did the Jericho DVD a few years ago, like the first match on it was his first match from a small indie in Panoka, Alberta. They somehow managed to track probably
because he had some of Candelo's footage and stuff too.
Yeah.
And things of that nature. So it'd be really cool to kind of see that as time goes on. They'll probably own that and give it, you know, 5, 10, 15 years. They'll own TNA's footage, they'll own Ring of Honor's footage, they'll own half of Japan's footage. So it's all going to be on the network. You're not stopping them anytime soon. Did anybody else in the room get a chance to watch Roadblock this past weekend?
I unfortunately did not have the chance to watch it.
You're probably too busy dicking chicks, though. Let's be honest, Jordan Garber. You don't have time for wrestling. Like, you like wrestling, but you like pussy.
You know what? I'll be honest. Everyone loves pussy. Everyone watching around the world loves pussy.
I don't know if you know this about
unless you're... And you know what? No. Not everyone loves pussy unless you're gay, which is my. If you're gay, then of course you don't like pussy. But if you're looking at Jordan Garber, you're looking at a man that loves pussy. Who doesn't? People are so sensitive over these topics. Like, oh, what are your reactions to that? It's like, I like pussy. I'm gonna be straight up about it. I'm not gonna be all like.
I see the smile on your face. So you do like pussy.
Yes, and instead of Roadblock, I was actually partying with my friends, and yeah.
Dicking chicks.
Dicking chicks.
Yeah. I guess that's
did you network?
In a way, maybe I gave one of the girls a roadblock. Who knows?
Oh, you gave her your road cock. That's what you gave her, Jordan Garber. Did you get a chance to watch Roadblock yet?
Not some of it, yeah.
And your thoughts?
It was okay. I mean, as much as predetermined as it was, you know, where it was fairly obvious what was going to be going on, as it's just kind of like a holdover for WrestleMania. I don't think that they were really planning on any major changes coming into this WrestleMania, you know.
Some great wrestling on it.
Oh yeah, of course.
The match that actually, I haven't watched the Dean Ambrose Triple H main event yet because I was falling asleep, but I watched the rest of the card, and the match that stole it for me was the NXT tag match. It was incredible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I've you know, watched NXT probably more so than the rest of the television, having the network at the house, and I've watched that tag team. It's
Enzo and Cass.
And the
Revival.
Dash and Dawson. And I've seen a little bit of them and appreciate their stuff, but to get to see them work in an environment like that for, you know, 10, 15 minutes or the amount of time they were given, they were absolutely incredible. And you see a lot of times where they're trying to latch on gimmicks to guys to get them over, you know, based on past success. That gimmick fits. Like, watching them, they kept putting over, oh, this is Tully and Arn, this is this. They work. Like, watching those guys and their psychology was bang on to why I watch Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard.
Surprisingly enough, actually, they surprisingly put over Ole and Arn more so than Tully and Arn this time, I noticed. Actually, on that show. Yeah, because they never mentioned Ole whatsoever on it, so I was actually really surprised by that. But same idea.
Great. So they're really, really good.
I was saying to him, like, I really enjoy their work. The way they isolated Babyface is just fantastic. You don't really see it.
The thing I liked about him, and that reminded me a lot of the stuff that I watch with Arn and Tully, is the way they gave a vast majority of the match to the babyface.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even know it, you know, watching with an uneducated eye, but like the babyfaces were on top and cut them back down. They made them look like stars before beating them at the end. Yep. And another thing I noticed too is Big Cass has really tightened himself up. His body looks great. Yeah. At 7 feet tall, he's got charisma. He's comfortable on the microphone. So I would imagine if that's an act that's going to WWE television soon, with how quick that they do rush things once they get there, you give it a year or 2 years, he's going to be a guy working on top because they have nobody his size in that kind of shape right now.
Do they do the breakup, or do they let Enzo cut his promos for him? Because he's a phenomenal promo guy.
Time will tell. Time will tell. It's tough because like their gimmick is gimmicky, so
it is.
It does almost have a glass ceiling. Like they usually say that about Val Venus. He's a porn star. He can't be a main event guy. He's a porn star. So maybe they are a guy that could work on top, but I would say the money's going to be with Big Cass down the road. Like he's a big, credible heavyweight in a time they don't have big, credible heavyweights. Now there's a weapons policy in effect anyways.
Yeah.
He's legitimately 7 feet tall. He's in great aesthetic shape, and I think there's a lot there. Dash and Dawson, I always think Dash and Dawson's Creek because it's my favorite show. Not James Vanderbeek, although he would be pretty solid on Raw too. I really hope that they get a chance to work on the main roster because they don't have they look like traditional old school guys, so they don't really fit the mainstream progressive look they're going for. But that's why their gimmick works in NXT. I hope they get that opportunity to be Carpenters on the main roster, the same way Arn and Tully were, and how they got so many babyface teams over in their day. Because you put those guys on TV working with a lot of the teams they have now, I think there's money to be had.
I think it would be tough for them to kind of get over when you put them on the main roster, just considering the style of.
Are they the guys?
Because they are very wrestling based, and WWE like NXT is wrestling based.
When you think NXT, obviously,
it works there.
They're such a fit for NXT.
Where WWE is entertainment style wrestling, so that would be, I guess, the question in the air: is there a way to properly bring them in over the long term, where they're going to be able to
succeed,
get them to succeed? Because you can put them in there with anybody on any given night, they're going to have that fucking awesome match they had.
Yeah.
But now, is there a way to
entertain
and draw in the casual audience? And I imagine that they have the ability based on their work, so just a matter of booking them correctly to do so.
Are they the case of the exception to the rule then? You say they fit the NXT style, but if you bring them up and they're working with exciting baby faces all the time, then do they need some? They can do their thing and they can get all the baby faces over. So if they look like the exception, like they are at NXT,
not the Ascension.
No, nobody wants to be booked like the Ascension.
You guys bring up the Ascension. Wait, what if they bring this team up and they get like a hot streak, they go on a hot streak, and then they go all the way down, and then no one
Did the Ascension ever even have a hot streak though? Did they ever even challenge for that? I think they had one match with the Road Dogg and Billy Gunn at a pay-per-view once.
They were pretty much dead in the water, unfortunately, as soon as they got there.
They did a couple weeks, and then they immediately did the Road Warrior thing, like 2-3 weeks.
I think that was because they took what worked with them in NXT and they kind of they tried to make them more entertainment style, so they kind of made them like comic book character heels. So they were kind of like, haha, these guys are funny in face paint, instead of like two monsters killing guys out the gate. So I think that kind of harnessed them right out the get go.
And then they fed them to the Legends like a couple weeks after they were up. Yeah, I remember that actually.
Yeah, and it didn't help too because they were trying to make that comparison. All these are the Road Warriors, these are Demolition, and they're not as big as those guys, and they don't have that same physical presence. So I think that kind of hurt as well. But that sucks because they're both good. Like Victor's awesome. Like he's incredibly talented. So on the upside, he's there collecting a paycheck and making good money because he's a guy that hustled on the independents for years and got a break. Other match that really stood out to me on Roadblock was Charlotte and Natalya. That was an incredible match. And incredible in the fact as well, when I really put into perspective how little Charlotte's actually been wrestling over the term of her career. She's only a couple years into the business.
3 years maybe?
3 years.
Training?
Yeah, and she's working like main event caliber matches in front of 20,000 people on arenas. Like that's, the last time somebody did that was maybe Kurt Angle, was the guy that really turned around that quickly and was a major player in the business. So it's crazy to think she's that good right now. How good she's going to be 2, 3, 4 years from now.
I really enjoy what she does between what she does.
Yeah.
She's got a very commanding presence. Part of it's probably her size and her gymnast abilities and stuff like that. But what she does in between what she does in the ring, that's kind of... She's got that down pat, I think.
Something I think works in her favor as well. She is a very beautiful woman, obviously, but she's not booked based on her looks. She's based on her ability to wrestle. So she's not somebody 3 years from now. She'd be like, well, she's 3 years older now. She's not, as what she was, 3 years ago when she was more youthful. She's somebody that's gotten over based on her ability and her work. So there's longevity for something like that. It's not like you're bringing in, I'm not saying she wouldn't have survived, but like Kelly who was brought in for her models, you know, her supermodel good looks. Well, after 3-4 years of seeing that supermodel, the second a new supermodel comes along, she's gonna be the new flavor of the month. When you're getting over based on your ability to work, and you can have those kind of matches 3 years into the business, she's got her whole future ahead of her.
The only thing I'm curious about with her is how well she's gonna work with somebody if she does have to work with a lesser talent. Because she was brought up straight to NXT, straight to the training system there. All the girls she was wrestling on NXT, they all train together, they know each other, they're in the ring with each other every day. So I'm curious to see how she'd wrestle with a lesser wrestler.
Is that going to be an issue though, with everybody going through NXT now before coming up to the main roster?
Maybe.
Like the days of yesteryear of like bringing up these untrained models and putting them in the ring with little training are probably over, I would think.
Yeah.
Hit or miss, because like perfect example would be she's actually quite good, so I'm just using her as an example because she's another one who's only got a couple of years experience, but Carmella probably started a year after Charlotte.
Yeah.
And if Enzo and Cass end up coming up, I imagine she would be coming up too, as she's kind of attached to that act.
Right.
So I'm sure there will be some cases where somebody gets really hot with an act like she is, and they get brought up sooner than they would have otherwise if she was working on her own.
Yeah.
So obviously that wouldn't be an issue with Carmella because she's quite good from what I can tell, especially if she's only 2 years in. But there could be a case where somebody is with an act and it gets over, and then once they have to track, like Lana's a perfect example. It looks like they're adding her to the WrestleMania card. She'll have her wrestling debut at WrestleMania, and by all accounts, she's never worked a match before anywhere. So there's still going to be some exceptions where somebody gets over. And
now a more important question. Jordan Garber.
What's up?
The WWE Divas locker room is at your disposal. You can dick one of them hard, and you can make love to one of them. Which one would you dick hard, and which one would you make love to?
Can we like extend the options and go with all-time divas, or do you only want this current crop of diva talent?
Well, we'll do first the current crop, and then we'll do a wide open pool. So if you could dick one of them hard, like just fucking give it to her.
And that's gonna be Summer Rae, without
Summer Rae,
you know,
I can't argue.
You can call by her.
I might make love to Summer Rae though. I kind of have a crush on her.
She's one of those. I don't know. She's one of those girls where you can like just dick her for the night and go on, or you can just have a relationship with her. It's one of those two things.
And if you had to make sweet, soft, sensual love to one, like candles lit, rose petals in the bed, lots of making out and foreplay, which one would it be? Which one would you cherish that time with?
Got me there. That's
I know it's not your forte. I know it's not your forte.
Oh no, I don't want to be like known as this douchebag that just dicks chicks and moves on, because I dick chicks, but I'm nice while doing it. I just don't like, you know, bam, 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 and then just move the fuck on.
I like that you finger banged there. That was a nice touch.
Very professional, actually.
Yeah, I believe you, Jordan. So if you had to choose one, who would it be? Like, which one would be your girlfriend? Where you like hold her hand in public, kiss her on the cheek?
I know she's already taken, but you know, Bailey, actually. Looking at the NXT divas, and she's probably gonna get called up soon. She's one of those girls, you know, that looks really nice. She seems beautiful, and her personality is just as great. So Bailey's one of those divas that I would eventually.
So Summer Rae be your one night of fun, and Bailey be the one you take home to mom.
Pretty much.
Well, there you got it. Any other standout points for anybody with ROADBLOCK?
I thought Jack Swagger was an interesting choice to wrestle Jericho after the anti-Canada promo.
That's right, actually, yeah.
I very much popped for Jericho turning the fans completely around, only for Swagger's music to hit in a big American flag on the screen.
It's funny too. Like,
I like how it was like a coincidence where I like the booking style. I know it's really basic, but you know, Chris Jericho's turning heel and he's doing, you know, this whole Canada promo, and then Jack Swagger, the real American, comes. I like how they built up the story for the match so quickly when they didn't have as much time to book Jericho's opponent.
I did appreciate that they called back to Swagger cashing in his money on the bank on Jericho. Like,
I didn't even remember that happening.
You're right, exactly. That's my point. So I appreciated that they called back to that. Like,
I feel really bad for Jack Swagger because he's been there a long time, and from when he first started to where he's at now, his work's a million times better.
Buddy, he's a two-time world champion. He's a hot supermodel wife. Don't feel too bad for
him. I feel bad for him because he's put in the time, he's put in the work, and he says he's the best at the world at what he does, and he proved it with that promo. He's a Canadian wrestling legend, and wrestling fans will always play along, but he got like legitimate, sincere heat. Turned that entire arena on him, where they fucking hated him. Jack Swagger's music hits, and just.
It was
Like anybody should have been able to walk out the curtain and they've been like, yes,
They could have
kick
said,
his
like,
ass.
The berserker out there.
Yeah,
Would have been
and
like,
it's like, oh, it's like, man, I just felt so bad for him. I just felt so bad for him.
like Rey Mysterio coming out at 30 when.
Yeah, it was like kind of like that. It's like, oh.
just sucked the air out of the room, the poor guy.
It's like, yeah, I was like, yeah, and when we thought about it, it was kind of a weird choice. We're talking about Jericho, talking about how he's like glad to be an American, and then they bring out an American.
It's funny. It's funny. They probably didn't want to do it because they probably wanted to keep them both strong, but Sami Zayn would have been a great fit for that.
Yeah. Am I off base or did that match just not click?
Sammy and Stardust?
Yeah. I don't know if the other matches were just so hot that it was hard to follow,
I feel like
but something just didn't click for me
Trying
with
to
that
do
one.
an NXT style
Yeah.
that they normally do, but they slowed it down for a house show audience, and maybe it just didn't click.
Yeah, it seemed like there was like a lot of wrestling, which I'm completely fine
Yeah.
with, but I just felt it didn't connect with that audience for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
I think it was almost just trying to mesh together the two styles of
things.
NXT and a house show match, and it just didn't click the same way. Whereas the NXT tag title
Yeah.
match, they worked their style
Straight NXT style.
and it worked.
Yeah, the
And
finish kind of came out of nowhere and it was kind of
It did.
flat, and there was those solid Vance Nevada-esque arm drags at the beginning of the match that I thought were funny.
Oh, yes.
Did you get a chance to watch Dean and Triple H?
No, I
No, so we'll both have to go
I've
back
got that
and
queued up still.
watch that.
Yeah.
And we'll finish off this portion of the segment talking about the injury last night. I guess another one bites the dust. We have to stop doing this podcast. I think because we do the podcast, we have to report an injury every week. So
That was the case. That was a freak accident, though.
I didn't see the actual injury itself. I just saw the controversy after with how Jericho got the match to end.
Well, and I mean, you're
Apparently
talking about-
that was a shoot too. Like there was
Yeah, yeah.
actual legit heat on that. I saw right before we went on the air because I was still going through topics. So and right before on the air, that was legitimate. Jericho was hot and pissed off because I guess, as we all know, the referee, it's common knowledge now, the referees in WWE are told to treat it like a shoot.
Yep.
So Jericho thought he was hurt, went to roll him up. The ref knew that he was hurt. He was counting 1, 2, 3, but Neville's shoulder was up.
Well,
so
you
he
can't
called it off.
And there's a
So
whole bunch of-
Jericho gets mad and yells at him, he's hurt, idiot, or whatever, and shoves him, at which point the ref throws the match out, because
DQs him.
they're told if the wrestler puts his hands on you, you throw the match out. So,
Right.
But apparently, because I haven't seen Raw yet, Jericho kind of impromptu promo on AJ Styles.
Well, I think that's kind
Ad-libbed
of
one.
how it was supposed to go down.
He went, no, apparently it was completely ad-libbed. He just did it to fill time. And then Robinson
Well,
went
I
to the
would
back, and everything was cool as soon as they got to the back. It was just heat of the moment.
Oh, I would imagine so. Like
Yeah.
Charles Robinson's been around forever.
Yeah, there's-
you couldn't fault the guy for that. If the guy's shoulder wasn't down, he's not going to get heat for himself.
No.
It was somebody.
My guess was Jericho probably didn't realize that that's why he threw it off. Jericho probably thought it was a case of him thinking, oh, this isn't the finish, so I'm not going to do it. So Jericho's hot, and he's just doing his job. So it was just
One of the referees told me there, and I don't remember exactly the circumstance, but they changed the rules and regulations there, where the referees didn't call a certain thing when they were supposed to.
Yeah.
They got something like a $500 or $5,000 fine.
Yeah, I heard
so
that too.
they have to do it, or the fine now falls back on them.
Yeah.
So they're not going to cost themselves money by doing it. So
But see, Jericho saw it as any indie wrestler has either seen it or had it happen to them where they've got a green referee and I hit you with something and it's supposed to, we've decided this is going to be the finish and he thinks it's not the finish, so he goes 1,
of
2,
course.
And then
and that's probably what Jericho thought happened
Right.
because he probably couldn't, Neville's hurt, his shoulder probably just kind of came up a little bit. And,
Right.
And so it was just a mistaken shit happens.
And talk about Chris Jericho being a pro on Saturday, like that's a very pro move on Monday there.
Yeah.
To just get himself disqualified. I mean,
Yeah, so I imagine he was going over to build a match for Styles.
Yeah,
it was kind of promo
Not
after
saying
and whatnot. So
But you got to feel for Neville going. You could tell he was crushed. They showed a 2 or 3 minute, because you had the video, but it was like really choppy. So I tried pulling it up on my phone, and the video that I saw was Neville backstage on a gurney, just kind of checking, taking it. They wanted to cut his boot off, and he was like, "No, please don't cut my boot off." Like,
is there an official diagnosis on him?
fractured his foot and possibly his shin as well.
Completely off topic, but on the topic of Neville, what we're talking about guys that didn't quite catch on the main roster. What in the heck happened with Neville? He was the NXT champion, was the hottest act down there, and
He dropped his first name. That's what happened.
Yeah. I'm glad that did, because every time you would say Adrian Neville, I always thought Aaron Neville, the black country music singer that did America's the Beautiful at SummerSlam '93.
That's so awesome.
But he's a guy, like, they're on like this big indie kick where they're pushing the Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, and a guy like Neville just kind of got lost in the shuffle, and he's just as capable as those guys.
When did they bring him in? Was it the night after WrestleMania last year?
Something, it was close to that. But he works,
after, I think.
you know, he's the same.
Who did he work his first program with? Was it just a case of not having anything for him, and he just kind of fell into that Evan Bourne-esque role of just, here's my cool flippy thing I do, and then the rest of the time I'm
he's really good. Like, his intensity is awesome. Like, it looks really good for a shorter guy. And he like kind of cut from the same cloth in terms of like style of match as AJ Styles and Sami Zayn and those guys. So it's kind of unfortunate he kind of just got lost in the shuffle. Because once you kind of end up in that purgatory, it's near impossible to get out.
And was it a case of just like, oh, it's post WrestleMania, we got to bring guys up, and they brought him up, and they didn't really have anything? Because there was talk earlier, like last year, I remember somebody was saying something about, you know, they're only going to bring up NXT. I think it was Triple H. They're only going to bring up guys if they had plans for them.
Right.
And maybe that was a case of they brought Adrian Neville up and didn't have anything for him, and then he gets stuck in that purgatory. I mean, look at where Tyler Breeze is right now. You know, he's not in the purgatory yet, but he's kind of in limbo because they don't really have anything for him right now. Is he even going to be on WrestleMania? Battle Royal, I guess, maybe. No, Under the Giant, I don't know.
If you don't mind me adding in onto the whole Neville situation, it's just really unfortunate when you're wrestling for such a long time, especially on the indies, and paying your dues and making your way up to the WWE, and when you do, you get hurt. Especially when you're on the main roster for a while, and then you got that injury. He's probably going through so much crap right now, like personally and all that, because now he has this injury, and after he worked so hard to get to the main roster, and now he's injured, and now he's screwed.
On the plus side, he's under contract, so he still gets paid, which he wouldn't on the independents, so that's a plus.
You know what? Yeah, we've all been there before. You know what? I hate to say it, but it may be the best thing to happen to him, you know, as long as it's not serious, because he goes away for a few months and maybe they'll have something for him when he comes back, you know. Because usually they try to find something for a guy when he comes back, so he wasn't doing a whole lot. Maybe they find something for him when he comes back, or maybe he does a couple months in NXT and gets really hot again, and they bring him up, and they, you know, it's just...
The best thing to have for this podcast is to take a commercial break at this time. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to refocus, we're going to regroup, we're going to talk the Garber Snake. With Jordan J. Garber. Jordan kind of gave us some insight on how solid you really are in the first part of the program. Now we're going to get down to the meat and potatoes of it. What makes Jordan J. Garber as solid as he is? Let's start off with how you kind of got involved with Winnipeg Wrestling, because I remember seeing you at shows when you were just a young kid. Like, you had to be 12, 13 years old. You're like 15 now, I think.
Not 15 now. I'm actually 20, but
so
I definitely I look 15 and I act 15. So actually, I may even say that I act a little bit younger. But point being, so and I always joke around with that with my friends.
Part of your charm.
I never act my age, which is really unfortunate. It's something I'm gonna have to work on. But I'm 20 and I started going to local shows, and from that point on, I just decided to do all these little interviews when I was a little kid, and they didn't really go anywhere. They're just useless little, tiny little
How
interviews.
did you first find out about it? What was your introduction?
Did you find a flyer? Or
yeah, I found a flyer actually for Steel Town Pro Wrestling, and the first guy I kind of connected with in the business was Ernie Todd and Rob Stardom.
Wow, Ernie Todd.
And I remember actually talking to Ernie Todd on the phone like all the time about, he always gave me the gossip on Winnipeg. I can't really remember.
When you were 12 years old?
Like when I was 12 or 13, yeah, around that age.
So Ernie Todd, a 50-year-old man, had nothing better to do but have conversations with a 12-year-old boy. about local wrestling?
I guess he was trying to think, oh, I really want to get into this business, and he was trying to inform me and give me some...
He didn't make sexual advances towards you, did he?
It's a trap!
Garber Snake before that?
This was pre-Garber Snake.
Oh.
There was no Garber Snake at the age of 12. Because remember, Garber Snake lost his virginity later. He lost his fucking virginity at 18.
Don't give away that story yet, because that's a whole other portion of this program. We're going to talk about that.
But point being,
back to your weird conversations with Ernie Todd.
Well, I just remember talking to all these guys, all these Winnipeg wrestlers, and I always kind of found it fascinating as a kid because it's like, oh, this is wrestling. This is what I watched as a kid, and now I'm actually talking to the stars I saw on TV. So when I was like 13, 14, I started doing these interviews. They went nowhere. But, you know, I still enjoyed it. I still went to the shows. I remember when you went to when CWE first started. So I attended all the events, and I just became a fan for a bit. And
Do you have any memories of what that first show ever was you went to? It was a Steeltown show, right?
It was a Steeltown. It was Fight for the Right.
Fight for the Right.
I remember that.
Give us some highlights from that show, if there was any.
The main event, I think, was you were on that show actually.
Oh, so there was one highlight then.
Who was he wrestling?
I forget. It was like 7 years ago.
Depending on who it was, it could be
in 2008.
I don't think I had very.
But Mikey Miracle was like he was the big name. Like he was like.
So this was early Steeltown.
This was early Steeltown. Really early.
I don't think I had any good matches in Steeltown.
I don't even know what he's up to now.
I don't know if it ever happened.
Just okay matches or just
like I used to drink back then, and I used to drink a lot at Steeltown Pro Wrestling shows. Like you had to just to justify where you were in your life.
And going back, I kind of do remember who you wrestled on that show. That was Dean Devlin, actually. I remember that.
That was the first ever Steeltown show.
Is that actually?
Yep.
Wow.
The first ever.
No, I think it was the second. I think there was one before that. Because I don't know, and it's kind of funny because I kind of look back and it's like I can't recall how I even like found that poster. What would happen if I never found that poster? There'd probably be no Garber Snake. I wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't be.
It's fate.
Never grown. Yeah.
It's fate.
Yeah.
So you were at the first Steeltown show.
Who were some of the first wrestlers you interviewed?
Some of the first wrestlers I interviewed were Kamikaze, Mentalo, the likes of those guys. Just the name, provincial, local names, and then eventually 2 years after, I got some. I kind of got in touch with some booking agents, so I had the opportunity to interview some former WWE stars. You gave me the opportunity to interview some former WWE stars with the headliners that you brought in. So going to that point and interviewing those stars kind of brought me at a level where it's like, okay, I got these interviews. I'm kind of on the right track right now.
Who are some of the biggest names you've interviewed?
You know, I had the opportunity to interview Scott Steiner and Maria Canellas and Mike Tenay, and you know, there's so many to name. I can make a
Who was the first person you interviewed that you actually jerked off about?
Probably Maria Canellas.
Yeah, did you jerk off while you were conducting the interview?
I was not, no.
No.
Because that was a big interview. That interview reached a lot of headlines, so I couldn't really like fuck around during that interview, you know?
No, so you just did it afterwards.
Pretty much.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I might jerk off after watching
I don't remember if I jerked off to it, but if I did, who can blame me?
No.
Right? Who can blame me?
I would.
So with all these names that you've interviewed, were there any of them that were like real proud moments that you thought, wow, this was a really good interview, I really enjoyed talking to this person, I've made it in the industry now?
Well, I haven't made it in the industry. There's a difference between a wrestler and someone who's a wrestling journalist or someone in wrestling media. I can say that I had a kind of a cup of coffee of notability though when I reached these interviews with Mike Tenay and Maria and Mickey J. Henson. And these interviews were on WrestleZone, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, all those big name websites. And your name was featured on those as well for many different articles throughout your career. So you kind of know what it's like to kind of have that moment. So for me to be on those websites definitely was a dream come true.
As someone who's done as many interviews as I have, there's some guys that are just fucking horrid to talk to and they're not a lot of fun. Who was probably the worst interview you ever did? Really? Man, this guy sucks.
Let's see. You know, I kind of just take away from every interview a different experience. You know, I kind of being like right here, looking back, I kind of can't really think about a really shitty interview I had. There's probably tons, and I'll probably update it on social media.
There was none that you thought like, man, this is like really boring. Like,
I think there's this one out of this. Oh, okay, there's one. There's this promoter based in Mississippi, and he's like, "Yo, Jordan, can we do an interview?" put over EXO. I don't know what the promotion was called, but it was this little backyard. It was independent, but it was like really low level independent. Like some of the stuff you'd see like in Winnipeg, like with other like lower level promotions. But that was that times 3. Yeah. So like you're talking about trash bag wrestlers. Like this is crap. So he asked for an interview, and of course, like if someone in the business asks, I'll do it because you never know. But it was shit, and I kind of all he brought up was himself, and he brought up Petey Williams 10 times, and that was the only headliner he brought on the show as a promoter, and all he kept doing was brag about it. Good for him for bringing on Petey Williams, but if you're gonna continue to put on a crap product and you're asking for interviews, you're just wasting my time and everyone's time.
This must have been a while ago. Petey's been retired for a few years.
I want to go from
quite a bit, yeah.
I want to go from your professional life to your personal life a little bit here, if you don't mind. I remember, like in your teenage years, you'd be on message boards and stuff like that, and you know, wrestlers sometimes wouldn't be so kind to you, or they'd be a little rude, and sometimes your parents would get involved, and they didn't want you necessarily being involved with wrestling, and there were times that you would go on social media and talk about how your parents were trying to hold you back from living your dream. What was the dynamic for you and your household as a teenager trying to be involved in a business where, you know, as a parent looking in, not familiar with, you know, saw these people being cruel and maybe bullying you and stuff like that? What kind of environment did that create for you?
You know, with my parents in wrestling, they never agreed with it. My dad sometimes will bring up the old AWA days, and we'll have a conversation about that, like about the Vern Gagnes and that era. But besides that, like my mom hates the business. If I tell her, oh, I'm doing a spot for this show. Oh, I got this interview coming up. She'll always shoot me down and say, I don't fucking care. My mom hates pro wrestling, and my dad doesn't agree with it either.
Why does she hate it so much?
I don't know. It's one of those things where they kind of think that they can see me doing something else because of the potential I have, but maybe they just think that I don't fit in. And the problem
nobody fits in wrestling. That's why we all do it. We're all a bunch of losers that don't have anything else going on for ourselves. So we come together in professional wrestling.
And you bring up the message boards, and that was like way when I was really younger. I was probably like 13 or 14, and I remember like a whole situation with like Andrew Shellcross, and you know, kind of looking back at that, it's like none of that stuff would bother me now, but as a kid it bothered me so much, and that's why the wrestlers did it.
So what was your problem with Andrew? Like I was
just on his message board, and like he made a fake name. He was pretending he was Mike Davidson or something, and then like he said, "Fuck you, Jordan. You're never going to the shows, or you don't belong at the shows. You better watch it out on TV where you're safe." They're threatening me. And when I was a kid, I was 14. Like I was like freaking out. I was like, "Holy fuck! This promoter's mad at me, and he's telling me to."
So like Andrew, as a fully functional adult and wrestling promoter, was bullying you as a 14-year-old child.
He was posing as Mike Davidson and as Andrew. You know, I remember all the wrestlers trying to find out who it was because I was a kid, I was a fan, and we're never gonna know who it was. But you know, I kind of laugh and look back. You know, I got
your mom used to go on the message boards too to defend you.
Did she actually?
Yeah, I remember so.
Yeah. That's kind of funny then. Maybe we should get her on the podcast. Probably wouldn't go well. She'd probably like.
I think I checked your mom out on Facebook once actually.
Is Jordan's mom hot?
He recommended that I check her out on Facebook.
He recommended you check out his mom.
He did.
What's that?
Your mom's married, isn't she?
My mom is married. I'm not telling you guys to check her out.
He just said check out her Facebook. Yeah, that's all.
I was when we were on our way back from Minneapolis, I believe.
Would your mom like wrestling a little bit more if she maybe had a romantic evening with a wrestler?
My mom is married and to my dad, and honestly, I do love my parents a lot. But when it comes to wrestling, you know.
Maybe you should have a better understanding and appreciation for it, though.
I don't think so. My mom's like, she's pretty much hard knocks, tough nails. She doesn't care. If she doesn't care about something, she'll never.
Next time you come to a CWE show, you tell your mom, you should just come hang out with Danny Dodd for the night. You'll like being around these shows. Really
well, first, she's like 45.
She's
cool. 45.
That's cool. Oh, yeah. That's right up my alley.
That legitimately is right.
I'll make your home life a little bit easier for you, Jordan. We'll have some junior chickens at McDonald's, and we'll hang out, watch movies. It'll be a family night.
Hey, none of that goes with me. But like I said, my mom's married, so whatever. I have a mom and a dad, obviously. But going on track is that my mom hates the industry.
Do you have any siblings?
I do not. I was always an only child growing up.
You're a little Garber Snake.
You know, the problem is too, growing up as an only child, is I had a lot of time on my hands which also like developed into anxiety and all that. Something that I'm overcoming, But I've always had that too. While I was doing my interviews, I've had that anxiety. But it's always good overcoming those obstacles. And
you said coming a lot. Did you do a lot of coming as a teenager, Jordan?
Not as a teenager, because I kind of gave it away before that I lost my virginity when I was 18. But after that, I was coming a lot.
Yeah, we're still gonna get to that. We got to build up to that part of the program.
Got to build it up to this, but
that's the main event.
As somebody, back to your interviewing, you mentioned in your news and your bio to me, as I wanted to get a little more background on you. You said the rush I get interviewing WWE stars. That sounds kind of erotic. Like, what kind of rush are you getting talking to these guys?
Well,
like arousal?
I know I'm in wrestling media, so in a way I kind of sound like a mark, but interviewing the likes of Scott Steiner and Chris Masters, and I don't kind of get that rush anymore because I'm so used to doing it, but starting out and doing that, it was like, oh, cool, like, you're interviewing this former WWE star, this interview's going to be everywhere. And when you kind of have that going into your head before you do it, it kind of gives you that rush.
And I remember when you were 17 years old, you used to always like track me down and try to, do you know where this guy, because you had an interview planned or something like that, you were always on the ball, you were always...
That was the old, back when you were in Calgary, back when I worked with Bruce Hart.
Yeah, or even when I was coming out here, it'd be like, we'd have a headliner in, and you'd be like, oh, do you know where so-and-so is his leader around?
Side note, you two look really cute sitting next to each other, just a thought.
Fuck's sake.
You had to know that was coming. Moving on. So you were always on the ball, I'll give you that.
I don't get excited to talk to wrestlers. Well, I'll let you in on a little secret, Jordan. When you confirmed you were going to be here today, I got excited. I started telling people about it, I posted about it on social media. I could have a WWE star here today and I probably wouldn't care all that much, but you being here has made my night. I'm excited to have you. I want to thank you again.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm not the biggest guest, I'm not really the biggest name in the business, but hey, I'm sitting here and I'll give you all the answers I can.
Yeah, you're a straight shooter.
You're a name to him. That's all that matters.
You've done so many different podcasts. You've done, the Angry Marks podcast, you've worked with Brady Hicks, you started a podcast with Bruce Hart. How did you get involved with all these different people in different parts of the world, being such a young man from here in Winnipeg?
It's great, actually, because I've been on over 50 podcasts, 50 different wrestling podcasts from around the world.
Different podcasts, not the same one over and over.
No.
Different
If
podcasts.
we're counting the same one over and over, I can probably say I've done around 250 to 300. And looking at doing different podcasts, like doing over 50, this spans from around the globe. So it's kind of cool looking back on YouTube or on all these other wrestling sites and seeing these podcasts that I've done with all these different websites is honestly an honor for me to...
He's done more podcasts than most indie wrestlers work matches.
Yep.
So if we go on YouTube and we type in Jordan Garber...
Oh, there's some stuff that will pop up. There's nothing that there's only like a few things that I uploaded on YouTube, but there's probably other sites that probably have my name on there. I looked on YouTube the other day and I searched my name. And there's like a bunch of stuff, so lots of good stuff out there.
Tell us about working with Bruce Hart. He's one of my favorite people in the business. How did that come to be?
This was the moment where I kind of realized okay, everything I've done before then, it matters in my own little way. But now that I'm working with Bruce Hart, it's like it's time to really get serious because this is I'm working with the Hart family. I'm doing a podcast, and like we're getting all these names on. We're getting, not the biggest names, but some guys who had a good stint in WWF or some of that. So working with Bruce Hart and him and Bob Johnson, who you know as well, giving me all these valuable pointers and great advice, honestly was an honor. Not everyone can say they worked with the Hart family, but me as a podcaster and wrestling journalist or someone in wrestling media.
Is journalist or a word?
What?
Is journalist or a word?
No, it's a journalist.
Journalist.
He said journalist.
I think you meant to say wrestling
journalist or
oh, okay.
It just kind of ran together, but
gotcha. Okay.
I come with I say the term journalist sometimes is because I've appeared on all these.
Well, that's what you are. You're a
journalist.
journalist.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And like I said, working with Bruce, though, honestly, so much going through my head at the time. But doing those shows and doing all that was honestly an honor. I loved working for Bruce Hart.
There was like a big public falling out with you, Bob Johnson, and Bruce Hart that led to your departure from Heartbeat Radio, a program that's still on the air today. What was the big heat with you and Bruce and Bob that led to this departure?
What actually happened was we were doing this Owen tribute show, and this is something that I'm not so proud of is just me looking back and looking at the mistakes I made during that show. my friends wanted to go clubbing, and this was the Owen Hart tribute show, and my friend was waiting outside, and he was listening to the show, him with a group of friends. So I wanted to pull I wanted to pull a cool move and like ask a very controversial question that would, you know, be heard on many wrestling sites. I thought I would take that risk and ask about Owen. And I kind of asked it in a way I didn't mean to. It kind of came across as kind of rubbed Bruce the wrong way. And in that case, it was very honestly unfortunate. But you know what? Learning from those mistakes. It was I was talking to Bruce about the event that he died in and how, you know, I kind of told him to like relive that moment and what went through his mind, and he didn't like it. It got a lot of heat, and I asked it in a really innocent way, but to him it just really affected him. And
did you ask that on air or off air?
On air.
On air.
So you did it in an innocent way, but you knew it was going to be controversial. Like you were trying.
I knew it was going to be controversial, but I knew I wasn't going to sound like a dick. But the question Bruce didn't like it. I don't know for what reason. I know it was sensitive. I knew it was a tribute show, but we had Barry Orton on. We had Mick Foley on the episode on the U.S. version, and I was actually pretty upset because I wanted to work the U.S. show working with Mick Foley. He was on the podcast for the whole 2 hours. Wouldn't you want to work on a podcast with Mick Foley for 2 hours? But the Canadian version wasn't really as good as the U.S. version, so I guess I wanted to make a name for myself and ask that question, and in a polite way, and it totally didn't work out in my favor.
What's your current podcast situation like? Are you currently hosting your own podcast, or are you just doing a variety of different ones?
Yes, I'm actually on the VOC Nation right now. I have a program on there called Jordan Garber Now, and I kind of, you know, looked back like a week ago when I kind of saw what I could do, and I got some great news from Brady Hicks as I'm sending him these press releases. So these interviews that I'm going to do with these big names, hopefully that I get on soon, I'm going to make a press release on it. On like, you know, when you interview a former WWE star and it's on a website and it's like, her thoughts on leaving WWE, ... So I just make my own press releases. I do Jordan Garber Now. So this show is going to be, it's developing to be a big show on the network and in wrestling media. We have actually Chelsea Green on today, which, you know, kind of, this episode is going to be on later, but you guys can definitely look back and listen to the Chelsea Green interview that I did. Jada, back in High Impact Wrestling.
You did that tonight?
I did that yesterday.
How'd that go?
It went really well.
Did you make any sexual advances towards her?
I did not, because I had too much respect for her, just as a wrestler and a great worker. You know, honestly, she worked so hard and she deserves the spotlight.
Well, I like talking about respecting people and I like talking about wrestling, but we're going to take our last commercial break. And when we come back, we're throwing professionalism out the window, we're throwing wrestling out the window, and we're going to talk about the party life that is Jordan J. Garber.
No holds barred.
No holds barred. Jordan Garber, are you ready to shoot?
I am ready, man. Let's do this.
I realize I have one more wrestling question to ask you before we start talking about all the promiscuous sex you have. It was in my notes. It somehow got mixed up in this portion of the segment. If you owned Winnipeg Wrestling, much like Vince McMahon owns all of wrestling, if you were in charge of Winnipeg Wrestling and everything to do with it, who are the first 5 wrestlers you would fire that we'd never see from again, and why?
You're asking the tough questions, the questions that I ask sometimes on different podcasts, and give me some time to think about it, because that's a very tough one.
Just off the top of your head, like who do you like from either personal experiences of dealing with that were difficult or disrespectful to you, or guys you just hate watching because they suck? Like if you had your choice, we'd never see them again.
You know, I did have some personal kind of fallout experiences with Mark Merrick, another guy you had on the show earlier.
He was here last week.
A guy who kind of brings me on his show and then he changes plans. Like, and I understand in wrestling, you know, you kind of gotta adjust and, you know, have different plans. But when he says you're gonna do this, and then he goes on like 5 different things in one show, and then he doesn't, he's just all over the place. That's one guy that kind of gets frustrating after a while. I don't hate the guy, actually. You know, if I get an opportunity to be involved with any show, I would be involved. But, you know, Mark Merrick, I've definitely had some arguments.
So Mark Merrick, he's out the door. 4 more. Who else gets the pink slip?
I think there is this guy. I think there's this guy who's I kind of talked to, you know, in a very polite way, and I was talking about my wrestling journalist stuff, and I think his name is, I think he brought him on a show once in one of yours. I don't want him out the door, just one of those experiences where it's like, yeah, TJ Rose is one of those other guys.
Tyler Rose, yeah.
Kind of seems a little bit, he's cool and all, but he just seems a little bit too cocky in a way. Which, it's good, but...
He's got himself heat with that before. Rob Stardom slapped him out for it.
So.
Okay, well, we can fire him too. He's gone. He's fired. 3 more guys. We gotta get rid of 3 more. We don't have enough room to pay them all. Who's got to go, Jordan Garber?
Not gonna touch that one.
Let's get rid of, let's see. It's tough.
Who's someone you get rid of because you just hate watching them wrestle?
You know, you should like definitely throw a few suggestions of guys you don't get because I know me being involved with wrestling, I see so many names wrestle, and I just honestly try to think positively about every show. Like I in my columns I'll do some, you know, say some negative parts or whatever. But, you know, throw some names out there that you don't like. Maybe.
I like everybody, Jordan Garber. But if I had to throw some names out there, guys that, you know, maybe on the podcast people have said they don't like or haven't liked working with.
Because then I might refresh my memory and I say, oh, I hate this.
Somebody, we just posted our podcast today Mark Merrick was talking about how nobody likes working with Zach Mercury. So do you like working with Zach Mercury? Is he somebody that would stay on your roster?
He kind of pissed me off the time I got released from Heartbeat Radio because he kept on saying, "Oh, you're being a." He's kept on referring to the same mistake I made while I was trying to fix it. So he kind of pissed me off a little bit. So you know what? Let's kind of throw Zach out there too. Let's get rid of Zach.
So Zach would be fired.
Zach would be gone.
Okay.
He'd still be like a buddy though to chill with or have a few shots with or something. But not with wrestling. Not with wrestling.
Okay, so it's 2 more guys. We gotta make.
There's this other guy who I would throw out the window, but I can't remember his name. I was in the car with him, and he was training. He was like trying to be a wrestler, and he wasn't in any shape whatsoever. That is why I am not training to wrestle. Look at me. Do I look like I'm a wrestler? No. So I'm not.
You look like a sexy son of a bitch. Though.
I do look like a. You're right on that. But there's this guy who's like really, really. He's just not ready to train, and he always talks about himself in the car when he's supposed to be quiet and listen to the stories. Kind of frustrated me a little bit. I don't remember his name, but when I do...
What road trips was he on with you?
I believe it was the Paw.
So he's like a new trainee.
Like a new trainee.
So he wasn't showing proper respect to you as the veteran in the car.
Well, I'm not the veteran in the car.
But to him you were. Because you had more experience than him.
Yeah. And then in the same car ride, Mark Merrick's like, wah, wah, and it's like, fuck, I want to go home. Yeah, literally.
You used to go to all that Steeltown shows, and they had some of the worst wrestlers in the history of the business.
There's this guy named Gary the Barn Owl. We're going way back.
Gary the Barn Owl.
Gary the Barn Owl. Wow.
You would fire him?
I'd fire him.
You'd send him back to the barn?
Not because he's a bad wrestler. I just don't like the gimmick. He's like making noises on. I know it's a gimmick, but the gimmick was too annoying. Too annoying.
What do the noises sound like?
He just like making owl noises.
How does an owl sound?
Well,
make an owl sound.
It sounds like a fucking 40-year-old woman orgasming. Like an older woman. Experience? Or maybe like an older woman orgasming. Not speaking from experience, but that's an estimate.
How many 40-year-old women have you made orgasms?
I have not fucked any 40-year-old women.
What is the oldest woman you've had sex with?
The oldest one I had sex with was actually 26.
Wow.
Walter's over here.
Yeah. Met her at Task. Don't remember her name. Don't have her number. But I know I fucked her. And I wrapped it up.
That's all that matters, really.
Wrapped it up, did it. So, you know, I always show respect for women, but since we're on a wrestling podcast, I gave her a good dicking. She got what she wanted. I got what I wanted, and I went home. Happy.
All right, that's going to segue us into the party life and the sexual escapades of Jordan Garber. Where did it all begin for the young Garber Snake? You see, you lost your virginity, 18 years old. Tell us about this experience. How did this happen?
Did you lose it to Sarah?
I did not lose it to Sarah.
No, but Sarah did. We're going to get to that. She left the...
That was a comment.
Well, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay. Hey, you have questions asked. I'm asked any of your questions.
Oh, I'm going to ask those questions. Where did it all begin for Jordan Garber? Who was the first lucky lady? Who was the first apple of your eye?
I'm going to sound like a douchebag for a bit, but please hear me out. I was 18, late 18, around 18, 19.
And 20 now. So
I'm 20 now. This wasn't too long ago, but now I'm on a roll, so it's all good. Anyways, I got with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and I feel really bad because I knew I needed to date her because I said, okay, dude, you're 18 years old. I gotta get this done. So I just dated her, and we had a night out, and
so you dated her just so you could have sex with her?
Yes. I feel like a dick, but point being so is that definitely had sex with her, and we had a relationship going on. Not really long at all, 2 weeks, but hey.
So it didn't take long. Like you started dating her, she put out pretty quick.
Yeah, she wasn't.
So tell us about this first time. Like this is a special time for a young man.
Well, most of it I can't remember because I was drunk on moonshine because a buddy brought over moonshine. So I just got drunk and it's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna fuck her. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna ask her. Let's fuck. We fucked.
She said yes?
She said yes. I'm happy. My virginity's gone. And when your virginity's gone, your confidence increases so much. It's crazy.
So your virginity was gone and then she was gone and then you started getting on this roll you're on.
Well, I'm not really on a roll, but, I've had some moments where I had the opportunity just to,
Did she know that you were a virgin?
She did know I was a virgin.
Oh, okay.
So,
How long did it last?
What?
How long did it last?
Okay, this is a funny story, and this is a story I tell my friends. So
all
the wrestling fans are getting a treat here. We were going on it for an hour, and then the fucking baby woke up.
The baby woke up?
And then after that, it was crying for like half an hour.
Back to trade up. Why was there a baby?
Yeah.
Well, there's like no spare bedroom, so the baby was sleeping. It was like
Whose
on
baby?
the other side of the room.
Is this her baby?
No, it was like her friend's baby. I don't even know. But all I know is that she was giving me a blowjob, and the fucking baby woke up, and then I was about to go right in, and it fucking sucked. It was terrible.
Wow.
The baby woke up the time I lost my virginity, so I don't really like that fucking baby because I was kind of enjoying myself.
Cut you off, yeah.
An hour is not bad for my debut.
True or false? Did you once smoke crack with Buddy Weiser?
I did not. No.
Were you?
I honestly think Buddy Weiser is still a cool guy. I know you guys don't.
I like Buddy Weiser. I think he's great. There was just a rumor floating around that you were smoking crack with him.
No. And who started that rumor?
I have no idea.
No?
Just one of those things that go through the wrestling vine. You should feel special.
No, but I hang out with Buddy Weiser. We smoked a bunch of dope, and we just told wrestling stories. It's honestly all we did.
Dope as in marijuana.
Dope as in marijuana. Not meth, just marijuana.
No heroin or anything like that.
As many people may know, wrestling fans, friends, I am an avid marijuana smoker. I'm very passionate about it, and I know it's going to be
kind of like our friend Rob Van Dam.
Rob Van Dam. I'm like kind of like a Rob Van Dam kind of thing when it comes to marijuana.
Rob Van Dam with Winnipeg.
Maybe. Probably. I worked tonight, so I couldn't have a joint on the way back, but definitely there's nothing wrong with smoking a joint and watching good wrestling.
And dicking chicks.
And dicking chicks.
Tell me about the term dicking her hard, because I never heard that before until being on the road with you, and you told me about you dicking a chick hard. Is that something you came up with?
What happened was actually I was hanging out with my friends, and there was this big party. It was like last summer, and me and my friend brought up, "Oh man, you're gonna give this chick a good dicking," and I laughed so fucking hard because I did give that chick a good dicking. I did give her the dick, and we came up with these literally stupid, retarded sex terms. And you know what? It's so funny. I still use it to this day, as everyone probably does know.
Please share some of these other terms with us.
We kind of made up these words of dicking her hard, giving her a good dicking. So if I was on my phone and I looked at a picture of a chick, I'm going to say, "Oh man, this chick, bam, dick in her hard, let's go.
So if you were on Tinder, that's what you would say?
We're going to get to that. When we get we're going to pull up his Tinder and he's going to tell us which girls he would dick hard, which ones maybe a little soft.
A little soft.
Or make some love, you know.
Another Jordan Garber term you were telling me about some of your sexual adventures on the road was the sex you have with hood rats. What exactly is a hood rat?
Okay. I've only had sex with one hood rat, and I do not have anything from that. That was a fucking mistake. But I got with this fucking hood rat. It was this ghetto party, and my friend invited me. It was a friend of a friend's. It's like, you know, come on down. I'm like, oh, no thanks, it's not my vibe.
That's sorry, I'm too busy smoking crack with Budweiser.
Too busy smoking dope with Budweiser.
Okay.
But I honestly, I miss Budweiser. I wonder what he's up to. It's been quite a while since I've seen him. But moving on to the whole, we were talking about hood rats.
Have you ever double teamed a chick with Budweiser?
I have not, no. No, that's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
Not with Budweiser.
With the hood rats thing, I went to this sketchy party. I think it was in the North End, which sucked. It was like it was a straight ratchet ghetto.
Hey, me and Garbage Man Rob grew up in the North End. It's not so bad.
Not so bad, but it was just sketchy. And you know, these girls are like literally throwing their bodies at people. Just just like fuck me. That's what they're trying to say. So you know what? Before I fucked her, I got really fucking drunk. Smoked a bunch of weed, took a deep breath, and I did it.
So what made her a hood rat? Describe her to us.
You know, just how they dress, the things they wear, how cool they want to be. They kind of act all like they're tough and solid, but in reality, they're not. That's kind of what a hood rat is. Someone who's, just someone who dresses like a gangster sort of thing, but really isn't one. You know what I mean?
Was she the most unattractive girl you've ever slept with?
Probably up there, yeah.
Probably up there.
I'm not giving any names on a podcast.
How many girls have you dicked now, Jordan Garber?
I think we're coming across like 5 or 6.
5 or 6.
So definitely over the past 2 years, I'm not that big of a fucking man horse, so that's a good thing.
That's not a bad rookie year.
Not bad at all.
What are your thoughts on this? I make fun of Travis because he doesn't have sex with a lot of people, but he claims when he gets a blowjob from somebody that's having sex with him, he puts that towards his count. I say that's bullshit. That does not count. Sex is when you penetrate somebody in the genital region. Would you agree?
You know what? Blowjobs don't count as sex, but you can still brag about blowjobs. Blowjobs are fucking cool.
Okay.
I had about 2 or 3 of those.
2, 3, there you go. So you can, the Garber word of mouth is, he cannot in the future
claim.
Yeah. Unless you get the dick in, it's not sex.
Travis,
it's not sex.
Has Jordan Garber had sex with more people than you have?
Yes.
His overall total might beat me out this month, maybe. It's like the 11th.
It's kind of like it's kind of like the wrestling business. You're kind of green, and I'm kind of green when it comes to dicking chicks. But eventually I'm going to turn into a fucking veteran.
It sounds like you're well on your way.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate that.
With that being said,
unless I find a committed relationship, what's wrong with hooking up with chicks and having a good time?
There you go.
I agree. And with that being said, you have gotten more fan questions than anyone I've ever posted before. And I didn't even have time to do a full release about you being on the show. I just put up a status update.
An hour.
An hour.
Because I know they're all going to be hilarious.
People were really excited you were going to be on the program. So let me find these. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Just work your way through.
Let's see what we got here. Sarah Foster would like to know, when are you going to finally have sex with her?
You know what? She's a stripper. She's hot. Why not? I'll do it.
So you're saying right
she
here,
can give me a. You know what? Point being, so it's all over Facebook anyways. And you know what? People are gonna keep asking that question. You know what? It's an attractive girl. Why the fuck not?
See, Travis, Jordan Garber can own it. What's your problem?
Own what?
Having sex with Sarah.
So,
but there's one problem. Didn't he fuck Sarah Foster?
What the hell's going on out here?
Is that a problem though, Jordan Garber? Does that bother you at all?
Yeah. You could just be Eskimo brothers.
Coming in, just wrap it up, and
here's my next question.
Why did I have?
Here's my next question then. Would you have sex with Sarah Foster with Travis Cole?
No, fuck, no.
No. So Sarah on her own is fine. Travis is
Sarah on her own is fine. Yeah.
So, April 22nd, we're at Rookies. That's our next show where Sarah's going to be at. If you're there, you'll get the job done?
Perhaps. See how the night goes.
She's put you on the spot here on public. She said, when are you going to have sex with me, Jordan Garber? I want your Garber Snake.
Well, you know what? If she really wants my Garber Snake that bad, and there's a girl that really, honestly, legitimately wants it, if there's a girl asking for sex, I'm not going to deny it. Just give her the Garber Snake. If she's serious. I don't know if she's serious.
She's serious.
But, yeah.
So you're saying...
I guess I'm going to have to add that to my collection.
On record, he is claiming collection.
Bobby J wants to know why he has a stain on his carpet.
Because I had 20 apple pie shooters at that house party. Like, we went to the fucking Spike. I spent $100 on alcohol, and I had I'm like 25 shots in total. So I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm literally like Jake the Snake Roberts during that horrible wrestling pay-per-view. You know that Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view? You know when he cut his promo? I was like that at Bobby J's house. I was out of it. So I'm like, he gives me these apple pie shooters because he has these Halloween parties, which is awesome. I honestly, going to Bobby's house was a really fun experience. You know, it's a great place to party. But the point is, I had way too much to fucking drink, and I just puked on his carpet and passed out. I apologized to him 10 times after.
Did you leave any other kind of stains on his?
No.
On his material?
Sure, it's just a puke stain, is what he's saying.
Yeah, just a puke stain. Unless that lady at the Halloween party dressed up as a nurse raped me, but she was over 40, so probably not.
Would you have if you were conscious?
No.
No.
A little, you know, I know we kind of go back, she's a chick dicker, but it's kind of nurse outfit, a little, I don't know how to kind of interpret it. She just wasn't my vibe. She wasn't the girl for the Garber Snake. She wasn't the girl to give the dick to.
Very selective.
But you did give your dick to a crowd at the Silver Spike Saloon. There's a legendary story of one of our loyal fans asking to see the Garber Snake in public, and sure enough, you whipped out your pants, or whipped down your pants and whipped out the Garber Snake. Tell us about this tale.
This is actually the story. This is actually how it went. I think it was me, this local wrestling fan named Marine, who's very polite. She's a good wrestler. You know, we usually get along most of the time, and she was really drunk, and then there's Vance Nevada on the other side. So all they're doing is they're just saying, just whip it out for 2 seconds. You know?
Like Vance really wanted to see your dick.
Yeah, it's fucking gay. But all due respect, I don't know. For some reason, fucking wrestlers asking me to pull out my dick, and then Marine's like, oh yeah, go ahead, fucking do it. And then Moses Luke steps in and he's like, oh, you Jordan, you'll be cool if you do it or whatever. And
so Moses Luke wanted to see your dick too.
No, he didn't want to see my dick. He just probably dared me to do it. They probably just dared me to do it. And you know what? I was drunk. I had a lot. Thanks to your events, I definitely had quite the time at the after parties. So I was drunk at this one, and they wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. And I just eventually whipped my cock out. I said, fuck this, whatever. And I did it.
I can appreciate that, Jordan Garber. You just manned up and whipped your dick out. That takes some balls, literally. It literally takes your balls. What was the reaction to your dick? Were they excited about it?
Mixed reaction. I was drunk. I don't know what happened. I'm probably shocked. You know, some guy in the fucking bar pulls his fucking dick out of nowhere. People are probably going to be like, what the fuck? So it's probably a mixed reaction. Some people are probably like, man, this guy's a fucking champ. And then other people are probably like, this guy's a fucking pervert.
I think it was pretty solid that you did that. And did anyone take care of your Garber Snake that night for your heroic action?
Unfortunately, not. I kind of embarrassed myself that night.
Did you just get a little too drunk?
A little too drunk, yeah.
So
I wouldn't do it again, but I can still say I did that. You know, 40 years from now, I can tell a story with my group of friends. Hey, you know, once I whipped my dick out.
You can tell your grandkids that story. It could be an inspiring tale.
Yeah.
Of how Grandpa Garber used to be the cool kid on the block.
I don't think I was the cool kid during that time. I was the embarrassed kid. But definitely, it's one of those funny stories in wrestling, and it's something that needs to be brought up more as a joke. And, you know, it's something...
More guys need to be whipping their dick out. I agree, George Garber.
And like I said, any fans that, asks me any questions, any wrestler, any fan, I'm going to answer their question, whether it's negative or not, because I'm a very open-minded guy. You know, how many times...
Open-minded in the sense Travis is open-minded with dudes, or open-minded just in general?
Just about everything. Except for, you know,
except
the stuff you're,
Sarah Foster and Travis Cole.
No, it's not happening. That's not. Travis Cole is out of the equation. That's not happening.
How many tequila shots would you have to consider having sex with Travis Cole?
Fuck that shit. No, it's not happening.
Like the bottle? 2 bottles?
I'd probably have to go to the point where I was about to have I was dying or something. Like it's just not gonna happen. Like I'm not gay. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with being gay. But you know,
there's nothing wrong with it.
But yeah, I'm not gonna drink and get drunk and have sex with a guy. That would be really bad.
So if you were a chick, would you have sex with Travis Cole?
No.
No. Did you not find him attractive?
Well, I don't really, check out guys in that way. But, if I was a chick, I'd probably like, I don't know.
If you were a chick,
I never really picture myself as a chick. I never put myself.
Close your eyes right now. Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Okay.
Close your eyes.
My eyes.
Envision yourself with large, beautiful breasts.
Fuck that.
I'd rather be
grabbing those breasts and.
Well, grab your breasts then. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Grab your breasts. Grab your breasts. Come on, Jordan. Grab your breasts. Envision your nice, firm female butt.
What the fuck?
Your nice tight vagina. Now, which dudes would you have sex with if you were a woman?
Like that is completely fucked. I can't even picture it. I tried closing my eyes. I tried doing it for you, man.
You couldn't do it.
I can't. That is a question I cannot answer.
This makes a lot of sense why you and Travis don't get along so well. You guys are complete polar opposites. You couldn't imagine it, and that's all he imagines. So it's interesting logic.
Well, hopefully that's not all he imagines.
No, it literally is. So.
Yeah. He's got a boner right now, and he's covering it. He's the one that's going to drive you home, Jordan.
Well, I will have to walk on.
We're going to end this thing because you got to get to work. You have a shift at McDonald's tonight, correct?
Yes, I do have a job at a restaurant, and I do work there, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to end this segment. You just downloaded Tinder. So we're going to pull up your Tinder, and I would like you to give us an example of some of the girls that you like here. I'll kind of guide the ship here. And you're going to give me some feedback on some of these profiles, on what you like about these girls. And let's put it on the gimmick here. Okay, so...
And it's funny, you bring up work. I have all these different jobs.
Okay, so we've got Michaela here. She's 19. She's from Moxie's Classic Bar and Grill, University of Manitoba, an educated lady. You got to be pretty to work at Moxie's.
Definitely.
Let's take a look here. Would you give her a good dicking, Jordan?
Yes, definitely. You know, in that picture, it's like mouth open, dick in.
So how do I... So that's a heart, right?
Yeah. That's a heart, yeah.
Okay, now we've got Rachel. She's an optometry assistant.
She's probably too good for me, but yeah, if I had the opportunity.
She's a really pretty girl.
Yeah, but that's one of those girls you brought up earlier that I would, kind of settle in a relationship with. You know what I mean?
So you would take Rachel home to mom.
Make love to her.
She's only 11 kilometers away. We can go looking for her tonight.
Well, I don't want to get any charges, but she is beautiful.
Okay, so now we've got Monica. She's from somewhere that.
Moncton.
She's from Moncton.
So, I don't know, 1 kilometer away.
She speaks French. Oh, she's in St. Boniface, I would imagine. So let's take a look here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a heart. Let's give her a heart on that. Actually, let's give her a super like.
Super like?
Wow. Yeah.
Wow, you really...
Super like her.
All right, who we got here? We got Kara. She's 25. She is a produce clerk at Portage Supermarket. Let's take a look here. There she is with her stuffed animals.
No, unless I drink a whole bottle of tequila.
So she's a whole bottle kind of girl.
Whole bottle kind of girl.
So that's a no. Here's Brielle. She's 18. She looks pretty jacked, actually.
Oh, fuck.
Look at that.
Holy fuck. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you getting aroused right now?
I wish I would have gave her my super like on that one.
Are you aroused? You're like,
that definitely made my night.
All right, we've got Heather here. She's 18. Waitress and bartender at Mr. Mike's. You now know where she works. You can go order something there.
Mr. Mike's.
Hold on. She likes adventures, cruising, snowboarding, music, and tattoos.
Yes. Let's give her a heart on that one.
She's your kind of girl right here?
She's very beautiful.
All right, we got Emily. She works at the Winnipeg Humane Society. She likes animals. I like animals.
Is that one even a question? Like, look, she loves animals. She's a Virgo. I'm also a Virgo.
Animal lover. She's an introvert.
Tattooed. She has tattoos, which is hot. She spends lots of time reading and watching TV, and she says she's a dork. Hey, Jordan Garber's a little bit of a dork, too. I think this is literally
Hey, hold on a second.
Perfect match.
If you go down there, there's more. It says, weirdest compliment received via Tinder goes to, you have blowjob lips. Good or bad thing? Does she have blowjob lips? Would you like... You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That's hot.
All right, here we've got... Oh, we got a match! We've got an instant match! Jordan Garber Jordan Garber, we've got a match. You're going to find out about those lips in person soon enough. You're going to come back on the program and give us an update.
You might have to be next.
Jordan Garber, send her a message right now. Let's see you.
All right.
With your
All right.
game.
Well,
Would you like a good dicking? Like, I mean, is that... Can you really say anything else at this point?
We are making love happen here on the CWE Video Podcast.
Yes.
We tried with Travis and Jordan to no avail. Sarah and Jordan are going to have a night of romance. And now, Emily.
Emily.
it might have to be Emily or Sarah.
Well, you have options.
I have options.
So what are you going to say to her?
Well, I'm gonna say hello. Do you want to hang out sometime? Like I say, hey, hello. Do you want to?
Put it in there.
I know I'm kind of going too quick into it, but you know, it's one of those things. You give her a few drinks, and then while she's drunk, and while you have a few drinks with her, you ask her if she wants to fuck. This is how it goes.
This is how.
I'm gonna go on there. I'm gonna
Carber
say,
guarantee you.
I'm gonna say, hey, you're pretty cute. If you want, we can get to know each other.
Okay.
Hey, you're pretty cute. We should get to know each other sometime.
There you go.
And there we go.
Just like that, Jordan Garber making magic happen
Right before our eyes.
right before. You should take some notes here. See how you're always like, oh, I don't know what to say to people. I don't know what not. Jordan Garber, just like that.
He's ready.
I don't know if there's a better way to end the program. That's you take it home when it's at the high point, and that's the high point right there. Jordan Garber found a girl blowjob lips. Does Travis have blowjob lips?
I don't even want to look. That's something, one of those things where it's like, you know, it's a dude, I don't know, I don't want to think about that shit. Why you envision these things, these circumstances are beyond me, but I don't want to envision them.
I envision Jordan Garber being a regular guest on this podcast. That's what I envision.
Well, you know, I had a great time being on the podcast, in all seriousness too, talking about my times with Brady Hicks and Bruce Hart. You know, continuing this journey in the world of wrestling is definitely a great thing, and it's going to continue.
For those that want to find you on social media, where do they do so?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber. I have a Facebook page. I don't really use it that much.
Jordan,
but...
roll this one over her right there.
Oh, hello there.
Don't creep her out, Chris. Luring through the lines of the video camera.
And
I think you might have to get her to sign a release now.
yeah, but pretty much just follow me on Twitter at Jordan J. Garber, and my Facebook page is Jordan J. Garber, but I mostly use Twitter, and I will respond to all of my tweets.
Do you have a separate page for the Garber Snake on Twitter?
I might have to get a Garber Snake Twitter. Only if you guys...
Just fart? No. Jesus Christ, no. This is why he gets laid and you don't. You're disgusting. We're going to sign off the program, so Jordan go chat up that shit and get another number while he's at it and continue to build the man, the myth, the legend that is the Garber Snake. Go slither away, my friend. We'll be back next week.